15 years ago, I fled this land as a coward. Today, I return as a king. Forward, we take back what is ours. The greatest comeback in history had begun. When Sher Shah died in 1545, his empire died with him. His sons fought for succession. Brothers murdered brothers. Generals became warlords. For 10 years, they tore apart what Sher Shah had built. There was no central authority, no stability, only chaos. The Afghan nobles, meeting in secret, were desperate. The empire was collapsing, they said. They needed strong leadership, but all the Suri princes were weak and divided. Then, one noble spoke the unthinkable. What about the Mughal, Humayun? He's been in exile for 15 years. He's probably dead. Or, another said, waiting. And if he returns now, while we're divided, they were right to fear, because Humayun was not dead. He was ready. Humayun didn't wait. The moment Sher Shah died, he moved. First target, Kandahar, the gateway to India. But this was not the same Humayun who lost at Chosa. 15 years of Persian training had transformed him. He was sharp, focused, commanding. His Persian artillery positioned with discipline. The siege was efficient, brutal, and fast. Kandahar fell in 40 days. Humayun didn't celebrate. He prepared for the next battle. But there was a price for Persian help. The Persian officers claimed Kandahar for the Shah, as per their agreement. Watching the Persian flag rise over the city, Humayun's jaw tightened. It was a necessary sacrifice. Next target, Kabul, where his brother Kamran still ruled. Kamran panicked. He's coming here, with a Persian army. Kamran had betrayed Humayun during his exile, refused him shelter, and stolen his territories. Now, payment was due. As Humayun besieged Kabul, something different happened. Many of Kamran's own soldiers defected. They remembered Humayun's rule and preferred him. The walls were left unmanned, the city defenseless. Kabul fell without a major battle. Kamran was captured and brought before his brother. After years of betrayal, they faced each other. Kamran, on his knees, expected death. "Suppose you'll execute me now," he said, defeated. Humayun looked down, a storm of emotions on his face. Betrayal, family, justice, mercy. "I should," he replied. Then the decision was made. "But you're my brother. I will not kill you." Kamran looked up, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. But Humayun's voice turned hard. "But you will never threaten me again." He turned to his guards and gave the order. Blind him? Both eyes. Kamran's scream echoed. It was a brutal punishment, worse than death in some ways. Mercy and cruelty. Humayun had learned both in exile. Then Humayun waited. For 9 years, he consolidated his power in Afghanistan, watching India from its borders. He studied intelligence reports, patiently analyzing the news from his spies. Every year, the Suri Empire grew weaker, but he resisted his general's calls to attack. An eager general would urge, "My lord, they are weak now. We should strike." But Humayun, calm and calculating, would reply, "Not weak enough. We wait." The old Humayun would have attacked impulsively. The new Humayun understood timing. In 1554, a spy brought critical information. "My lord, civil war in Delhi. Sikandar Suri and Adil Shah fight for the throne. Their armies are divided." A slow smile formed on Humayun's face. "Finally, now," he declared. "We move now." The campaign lasted 6 months and changed everything. They crossed into Punjab in February 1555, fast and unstoppable. Lahore, the city Humayun lost 15 years ago, fell in weeks. The people remembered him. Some with anger, some with hope. Standing in the Lahore palace where he last stood before fleeing, he touched the walls. A full-circle moment, both painful and triumphant. Quietly, he said to himself, "I told you I would return." The only major battle came at Sirhind in May. Sikandar Suri's army was larger, but their leadership was divided and their morale was poor. Humayun's forces were smaller, but unified, disciplined, and highly motivated. Humayun fought like a warrior, not an emperor. He personally led cavalry charges, fearless and inspiring. His Persian artillery devastated the Afghan lines. The tactical superiority was overwhelming. The Battle of Sirhind lasted 1 day. Sikandar Suri fled, his army collapsed. Humayun watched them flee, but didn't pursue. He conserved his strength, his eyes on the bigger prize. Delhi, July 1555. 15 years after fleeing, Humayun returned to Delhi. The gates opened, no battle, no siege. The city surrendered. Citizens lined the streets, silent, watching, judging. He entered not as a conqueror, but as a man who understood loss. He ascended to the throne, the same one he had lost. The heavy crown was placed on his head. Finally, again, his face showed not joy, but a mix of vindication, exhaustion, and relief. Quietly, he whispered, "Father, I kept my promise." The Mughal Empire was reborn. Those who laughed at his exile now knelt before his throne. For 6 months, Humayun ruled India again. He ruled differently now, wiser, more just. He listened to the people, something he never did before. He reunited with his son Akbar, now 13, in an emotional embrace. "Father, I barely remember you," Akbar said. Holding his son's face, Humayun replied, "I know, but I'm here now, and I will teach you everything I've learned." He prepared his son for the throne, teaching him governance, justice, mercy, and strength. And in his spare time, he returned to his first love, books. Knowledge, beauty. In his library, surrounded by astronomy, poetry, and philosophy, he was finally at peace. After decades of war and suffering, he had found his home. January 24, 1556. An ordinary evening. Humayun was descending the steep library stairs, his arms full of books. He heard the call to prayer and paused, a moment of respectful silence. In that pause, his foot caught on his long robe. He lost his balance, books scattered. He tumbled, hitting his head on the stone steps. A sickening crack. Then, silence. Servants rushed in, screaming. The skull was fractured. The damage was severe. 3 days later, Humayun was dying. Akbar, at his bedside, sobbed, "Father, please, don't leave me." Humayun, barely conscious, looked at his son, tried to touch his face, but his hand fell. January 27, 1556. 3 days after the fall, Humayun died. He had ruled for 6 months, after fighting for 50 years. History calls Humayun unlucky, a failure. He lost an empire, spent 15 years in exile, reclaimed his throne only to die falling down stairs. But he left something more valuable than life. He left a son who learned from his failures. At his father's grave, 13-year-old Akbar stood, his face hard with determination. He made a silent vow. Akbar the Great would rule for 50 years, building the strongest empire India ever knew. He learned from his father's mistakes. Every failure, every loss, every lesson. So was Humayun a failure? Or was he the foundation upon which greatness was built? Sometimes the greatest legacy is not what you achieve, but what you teach those who come after.